Greetings, good morning. This is Dwight, and we're on the fifth installment, so to speak, of letter 8 of Christ's Letters 2000 AD. So I'll give you the starting page and then invite you to read along or just listen or meditate, however you want to use this time. So the paragraph we're looking for begins with, "There may be some people reading these letters who will remember my confrontation with the fig tree near Bethany." Okay, she's going to take us back. So if you're searching for it, I would say just put in, "There may be some people," and that should be enough. Okay, so in Christ Returns Reveals Startling Truth, it's page 368, and it's the second paragraph from the bottom. If you're reading from Christ Returns Speaks His Truth, the first printing gets confusing. That's page 421, paragraph 4. I don't have the references for the new printing yet. If you're reading from the ebook that you may have downloaded or received, and if you'd like a copy of that, you can email me and I'll put you in touch. The ebook is page 326, paragraph 6, and I understand that my page is off, so I must have a different ebook than others. So it'll be right around that, though. You can look right around page 326 and look for the paragraph beginning with, "There may be some people." If you're reading from the original text, the original manuscript, it's letter 6. He numbered them differently in those days. And that's page 27, paragraph 2. If you're reading the first draft after the original into the Speaking His Truth, it's page 20, paragraph 3. And if you're reading from the second draft going into Speaks His Truth, is page 269, paragraph 2. And these have been modified since they came into being. And I bring some of those modifications out as we read, especially the end of letters 7, 8, and 9, and the first 3 letters, 1, 2, and 3, with an additional paragraph at the end. So let's just take a moment to just go into that stillness and silence. A place where we allow no thought, no doubt, no anxiety. Just a place of stillness and silence, of no thought. Right here, right now, we're in the right place to do what we're doing. Let's be nourished and nurtured from the Christ through these letters, the Christ universal, revealing to us the Christ that we already are and growing into. We are becoming that which we already are through reading these letters and applying them to life's experiences. Previous 2 weeks, we talked on communication, the power of it in our own being and those that we converse with Christ-centered communication, without it being a religion, but a way of life. Everyone gets to speak and be heard and respected. This level of communication is not taught in our schools or in our society. So it is a new way. The way that Jesus came to show us 2019 years ago. And the Christ that Christ is showing us now. That it attempted to reveal 2019 years ago through Jesus. Now Christ has come to talk to you and me. And so in this time, in this moment, we become of that one consciousness. Where two or more are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. So as we come together in love, in light, in anticipation for something great and good, that food that nurtures and nourishes us spiritually, so that we can live more from our spiritual nature rather than our physical nature. Christ has come to bless us, those of us who have opened ourselves to find this path, this truth, and then to give us everything we need to be able to live it and express it freely, joyfully, and to share it with all those around us, just by being ourselves, by allowing that Christ to come forth. And so tonight Christ talks about this in the letter. He talks about this spiritual evolvement, the spiritual evolution going on within each of us and through us into the consciousness of humanity, giving humanity a new way of approaching life that may be different than what they're used to. Tonight talks about the courage and the how to attain and achieve this step by step, experience by experience, calling on divine consciousness, divine life, to assist us in understanding any situation, any individual, anything that seems to block our path. We take it to the Father. We take it to that within us that knows. It reveals to us what we need in that very moment, even if it's a moment of conflict and contrast for us. Divine life is always present. Our job is to be aware of it and bring it forth through us. So just feel this oneness. Feel it all around. Feel it with all the friends you have. Now see it if you can extend it to those that may be some conflict. And see if you can open yourself to love them as you love yourself. To accept them as you accept yourself. We don't have to agree with our enemies. We don't have to condone. We don't have to do anything different. But we also don't have to have any resistance against them, because that separates us from them. And in love, there is no us. While there is no them, there's only us. So feel this presence. Allow it to guide and direct all that you hear, all that is said, taking it directly from the Christ, through the Christ, to the Christ, becoming one with all that is. I accept this for us right here, right now, with our open minds, open hearts, and a willingness to look at who we are and be a better me, a better us. Just through allowing Spirit to be the perceiver. Thank you. And I bring that from our Tuesday night group as well, because the energy we have is very much this. So in that meditation, I've already introduced what we'll do tonight, so I won't bother doing that again. And so let's go right to the reading if you're reading along. There may be some people reading these letters who will remember my confrontation with a fig tree near Bethany. I was hungry and foolishly looked for figs when they were out of season. When I found none, I said to the tree, quote, "May no one ever eat of your fruit again," unquote. And the tree withered to its roots and was dead by the following day, much to the astonishment of Peter and the other onlookers. This was a time when I, as Jesus, was thoroughly irresponsible in the use of my mind power and caused damage for which I was contrite. Side note, I explained the true reasons for this incident fully in letter 3, if you want to go back there. It's toward the end of the letter. That's when Jesus is approaching Jerusalem, the seat of Judaism, where all the scribes and priests and high echelons of Judaism exist, of their nation. So he knew he was going into battle, into conflict. And that part of him that knew that, the human part of him that resisted that, had him, change his mindset from his father-centered mindset to the religiosity of the time. However, when speaking to my disciples, I also used it as an example and warning of the power exercised by mind over living things. That's one of the things we're afraid of. We're afraid of the power we have. And as Marianne Williamson said, that it's that fear that keeps us small. Who is the Father to have us fully express our power, our love, our compassion, our wisdom? Who are we to deny this from the world? So it's important to know that we are the power of the universe flowing through us. And in that we can heal, we can love, we can overcome anything that's less than, of a lesser belief than we have. Let it be said also that on that day, I whipped and drove the moneylenders out of the temple and harshly denigrated the scribes and Pharisees to their faces. All these activities were magnetic emotional bonding rejection impulses. They're not magic, they're not luck, they're cause and effect. Deliberately, I set the seal on my own soon-to-be death by crucifixion. I gave them the excuse to do it. I knew it's what they wanted to do, so I'm going to honor that and let them do what they have to do, because my truth that I have brought to the world is much more powerful and deserves to be brought right up to the end and not let the end dilute it in any way or change it or cover it up or make excuses. So deliberately, I set the seal on my soon-to-be death by crucifixion. I knew exactly what I was doing, for my time on earth was drawing to a close. And to tell you the truth, I was eager to leave your world. And again, he goes into this in detail in letter 3. When people first come onto the spiritual path and seek a higher power, many are taught by self-help teachers to engage in magnetic emotional bonding thoughts to a greater degree, although such teachers have no idea that their instructions are serving to strengthen the power of the ego, and he explains this. The spiritual aspirant is taught, if you meditate, God, or the power of my subconscious, will help me get all my needs. I'm going to visualize the house I want, and I know I'll get it. I'm going to buy the clothes I need and have faith that I'll somehow find the installments. They concentrate on having faith and on getting what they need or want. At the beginning of their change in consciousness, so he's not saying it's not working, it does work. At the beginning of their change in consciousness, the exercise of their faith, they do indeed feel great benefits. The desired objects do come into their lives. They find doors opening. They achieve success. This phenomena remains. This phenomena reveals that the material planes of their consciousness are becoming more spiritualized, and as a result, there are improvements in them. Life is less hard. But your lives are meant to express every level of your consciousness, mind, emotions, and body. When you have mastered the physical realms of consciousness, and I want to remind us, I keep reminding us, we are masters, and if we're masters in training, if you're more comfortable with that, that's fine, but coming to these letters, we come into this master's course, and we're to look at our evolution as we're in letter 8 of how we've evolved over the time we've been with the letters and previous to this time. When you have mastered the physical realms of consciousness, your next adventure into spirituality is in the realm of your emotions. Therefore, suddenly, in the midst of your plenty, the winds blow and the rains fall upon your previously stable emotional consciousness, creating manifold miseries of every kind. These can be in the nature of loss of family, health, or possessions. Sudden setbacks of numerous kinds in numerous areas of your life. It is at these times that so many lose their previous faith. Positive thinking doesn't work, they affirm. No, Christ agrees. Positive thinking on its own does not work. Neither does the power of your subconscious, since it is only a facet of your entire spiritual human being. When your emotions are in upheaval, you are being called to examine your entire consciousness, your beliefs, your feelings toward yourself and others, your faith in a spiritual dimension, even the meaning of death and your life afterwards in a higher dimension. This is an extremely painful time in the lives of people. All are subject to this time of upheaval in one form or another. I may call this the dark night of the soul. It's a time, for me, there are two, and I've said them previously, so I'm not going to take the time, but 2 times when I went to the depths of my devastation and realized and claimed and exclaimed, well, God, it's just you and me, and that's enough. Very freeing when we get down to that and give it all up, nothing more to lose, and then say, okay, I'm totally destitute. Lift me, serve me, protect me, comfort me, provide for me, and it does. It can be a time of tremendous inner growth. And if we're not inner growing, it's for naught. We'll just keep getting other opportunities until it's like, oh, I see how to apply this truth to this situation. Can be a time of tremendous inner growth and a movement into happiness, or an ongoing time of bitterness and resentment. This is a time to wake up fully and realize that the outcome of the experiences are entirely up to you, to me, not fate or destiny, but me. Either working on my own or devotedly and consistently with divine consciousness, arriving eventually at the height of felicity, the height of joy, and all is well. It is at this time also that a person is challenged to use the mind constructively, reaching for the highest insights and ideals with which to master the emotions. Call it seek the thought above the thought I'm thinking, the feeling above the feeling that I'm feeling, to that place of peace and calm. The difference between reactive thought, arising from impulsive ego responses to uncomfortable situations, and creative, intelligent, thoughtful thought will become clear, period. Become clear. When this takes place and the insight is put into daily practice, self-mastery is close at hand. It unfolds, it evolves. It could be we wake up one morning after a night of spiritual upliftment and become that new person, but for me it's an evolution over the 78 years of my present life. Only the teachers who can lead you through all the levels of self-realization, remorse, awakening, changing mental emotional patterns, moving ever upward onto higher spiritual frequencies of vibrations, until reaching true God realization, are the teachers of truth, who can truly lead you into the kingdom of heaven. I'm not the teacher. Christ is the teacher. The recorder was not the author of the letters. Christ was the author. We are just bringing, as are you, bringing these truths into our lives and through us into our world. If the first level of development, seeking material satisfactions through positive thinking, were wholly satisfactory to seekers and brought them all they hoped for, the whole world would by now have been converted to the belief in positive thinking. However, this is the starting point. This is where we're seeing there is a law between my thought and what I receive from my thoughts. So, however, this is the starting point of the previously quiescent soul's spiritual journey and is not to be rejected or criticized. The psyche wakes up to the fact that beyond the earthly dimension, there is some spiritual dimension called God, a person sitting up there, or a universal power which answers prayer. Remember, we are talking about consciousness. The psyche is becoming aware that there is more to life than the daily grind and wants to experience whatever it is, because deprivation in some area of existence, health, financial means, happiness, love, etc., is causing it to seek help. Cause and effect. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So when we're out of sorts, it's our body calling to us that we need to reconnect with that higher source to make some shifts in our diet, our belief system, whatever. Here we have the same magnetic emotional bonding at work. I want. However, as the awakening psyche becomes an observer of what is going on in mind and emotions, through its filtered contact with life consciousness, it will begin to see some of the magnetic emotional bonding rejection activities it is engaging in. Eventually, it will be sufficiently enlightened to turn from the possessive repulsion feelings and will pray for help to overcome them. It is usually at this time that the right teacher for that soul comes into his life. If the soul has traveled the road of life several times, then there will be some teacher who has evolved sufficiently to lead the seeking soul out of the chains and thongs and bondage of the ego drive and forward into light. Remember, in your approach to others, be careful of their egos. It is their soul. It is their soul. Is their soul means, it is their sole means of internal survival until they have gained a real and lasting glimpse of divine consciousness. And they also perceive that they have within and transcendent to themselves a source of strength, power, inspiration, joy, wisdom, support, protection. And that's where we ended last Tuesday, and that's where we'll begin next week, which that this recording is tonight. And that will begin, you must realize that in becoming individualized. So welcome on this journey to evolution from our lower consciousness to a higher consciousness. And I'm looking for my mouse to stop the recording. And I found it. So I will see you next time. If you want to converse with me or get on my email list to receive announcements of our weekly readings and where we're beginning, that's chapelinthesky@aol.com. And if you want to see other YouTubes, I don't just do Christ letters, I do other talks, meditations, insights, and so forth. It's in the YouTube, it's channel chapel-in-the-sky. So many blessings. Christ of me honors and salutes the Christ and the love of you. Namaste and always.